Well, good evening, everybody. It's really lovely to have you with us. As you can see, I've kind of got all Christmassy with my Christmas jumper, and we've got a few of you with Christmas backgrounds up, which is great. So we're going to be thinking about ideas for Christmas and Advent. We've got a few people come along this evening who are going to share a couple of parishes, what they're doing. We'll share lots of resources, and then you'll have lots of opportunities to kind of ask some questions and share with each other, and hopefully we'll have a bit of time to do some breakout rooms so that you can just share with each other what your thoughts are. So I thought I'd start with what is going to be possible this Christmas. Now, I'm sure a lot more is going to be possible this Christmas than was last Christmas. And the way things are looking, it's looking that pretty much anything is going to be possible. It might be that the government put more restrictions in than are currently here, but it's not looking hugely likely, I don't think, but they always might do. But what we need to be thinking, as I'm sure we all are, is just because everything is permissible, it doesn't mean that it's wise to do. So we're going to have to be really carefully thinking about our local situation, our kind of local feeling, what case rates are like in our local area, and risk assessing with that in mind. My kind of thinking goes that probably we are going to want to avoid packing our churches absolutely full just because we can. Things like distancing, ventilation, encouraging mask wearing, the government and the scientists are still saying that those are important and are going to continue to be important as we go through. So my sense is that we probably want to avoid things where we couldn't possibly pack anybody else into our churches. So that might mean that we want to be offering some things outside. It might mean that we want to be offering multiple opportunities to attend the same kind of service. It might mean that we want to be offering quite a lot of stuff online still, and offering things just like last year, where we can kind of take the heart of Christmas into people's homes. So what I'm hoping is that people will take what we learned from last year and kind of take the best of that and bring that into this year when thinking about the outside and the online and in homes, as well as the stuff that we're now able to do in our church buildings. And I think we need to think really carefully over how we use refreshments, because refreshments are, and the behaviour serving refreshments encourages, is exactly the conditions that this virus loves, which is small huddles of people inside breathing over each other. So we want to think quite carefully how and when and in what capacity we serve refreshments, which of course we all love a mince pie and a mulled wine over Christmas, and absolutely that's allowed at the moment. But you want to kind of, I think, be carefully risk assessing how and where and when you do refreshments. That's just my thoughts on kind of what may or may not be possible this Christmas. Has anybody got any kind of comments on that, thoughts on that, questions around that before we get on to the much nicer stuff? No, I've stunned you all into silence. Okay. Well, what I've just asked a couple of people. We've got Kirsten, who's from St. Peter's in Guildford, and we've got Tina and Kate from St. Mary of Bethany in Woking. And I've just asked them to come along and share a little bit about what they did last year and a little bit about what they're thinking this year, just as kind of a conversation starter to see how some other churches are thinking about what they're doing. And then I've got a whole bunch of resources to share. So Kirsten, do you want to go first?
Sure. Can I share screen?
You should be enabled to do that, yes.
I am. Great stuff. Let me just get that up. And hopefully it will play.
I can see that.
There we go. Okay, so these are actually kind of a bit before last year, because actually last year what we had planned didn't happen at all. We were going to have carols outside, and we were going to take a donkey round with Mary and sing carols around the parish. And we got into tier 4, and we sat down with the wardens and went, can't do it, can we? But we did have an online carol service instead. So these are kind of like older ones. So we've in the past tried to make sure that we get out onto the green, which is outside the church, and have what we call community carols outside. And one year we ended up with a light procession, and people made the little lamps and things. And then basically people from kind of like the schools and other organisations that operate in the community would send one person with a carol that's their favourite carol, and then they just get to describe what their carol is. And then we did some prayers and readings and bits around that, and then used to have refreshments. But obviously that wasn't quite like it was last year. And then in 2017, it was too muddy and wet to get on the green because it was like a quagmire. So we moved it to just outside church, and we were still glad to take the choice to be outside the church, because actually it has a slightly more easy thing for people not to have to go over the threshold. And we combined that with Christingle, so it kind of became a bit more of something. And then in 2018, I mean, for a few years in Jacob's Well, we'd done a living nativity, which was a whole afternoon with Mary and Joseph and a real baby. And we had to tap our toddler group every year to find baby Jesus. And we've got various stars who are still at church in one way or another, who have played Jesus in their life. And so we did that in the Scout hut at Jacob's Well for quite a few years. And we were able to cover costs with the Jacob's Well Residents Association. But in 2018, we decided that we would actually have it in church. And so we had sheep and chickens and donkeys, and that's the little foal. He's my favourite. And we had a baby as well. And people would come around and pet the animals and talk to Mary and Joseph. And Mary and Joseph were briefed that they were actually Mary and Joseph. So they both sort of would say to people, has it taken you long to get here? Where did you park your camel? And people were like, oh, what do you mean? And they're like, Jesus is being really quiet. Would you like to see him? And all of this. And so it was actually trying to make it a real lived experience. It is expensive to get the whole bang shoot there. It's about £600. And we had a very kind donation in our 50th year, which was 2018. But before that, we'd done it so that people gave a donation at Jacob's Well, and we just about scraped the money. So that was quite good. Lights are something that we've done over the years. We start with sorry, the cat's trying to do something. Hang on. Get out. Sorry. We start in Advent with the star at the top, and then we kind of light up different things each week. I think probably the most infamous one we ever did was OMG with a little arrow to Jesus. And that got I got kind of comments from Portugal and Beverley, Minster, and all kinds of places for that one. And some outrage too. And some people nearly crashed their cars as well going past. So that was fun. So we try and do something each year in lights. And this last year we had Angels of Hope. So on the bottom, you can see the bottom angel, and we got people to draw pictures of angels or colour them in, and just put a message that we would want people to have. And so that drew quite a lot of attention. As people went past, they'd look and see what the different messages were. And some of them were like, keep going. Some were like, God has hope for you. God loves you, whatever. So that was those. This is the infamous Mary and Joseph set, okay? So Mary and Joseph, a very kind and generous parishioner, was working in a warehouse, an auction house. And Mary and Joseph and their twins, Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus, were a lot that nobody wanted. So he brought them over and donated them to us. Now, we're not a very Catholic church in many ways, and having such statues for some people was like a bit beyond the pale. So we decided we had to do something fun with them, because we had 2 sets. And so 2 of them used to live in my study, much like Mary is now, I was going to say chicken, but she's a sheep. And Mary and Joseph, I used to kind of get a bit shocked. I used to walk in my study thinking someone was there, and I go, oh, it's all right, it's just Mary and Joseph. And it became a bit of a joke in our hallway. And my colleague Mark from down the road used to come and say, oh, you've got to do something at Christmas, like put them around the different churches. And then when it gets to Christmas Eve, they have to keep them for a year or something. But in the end, we decided that we'd do a bit of a crazy giant posada thing. So Mary and Joseph travelled from house to house, and each time you had to you had them for tea and overnight. And so, as you can see from some of the pictures, one year they kind of played Monopoly and had supper with people, and then the whole point was to try and get them from A to B and get different families connecting with one another. And we gave them a little prayer like you would with a posada, and that kind of thing. And the biggest coup, which we managed twice, was to get it to start with the bishop, because that was really fun, because it meant that then the next people who got Mary and Joseph got it off the bishop. That was a bit cool. And then one year we didn't put them round and round. They just ended up in different places, and people had to guess where they were. So that's why they're in the local shop there, and having their picture taken there. So, and we sort of did it like an advent calendar, so that each day there would be a new picture up. I can't remember if it was on Facebook or on the website, of where were Mary and Joseph this next day. So those are the crazy things. And from a bizarre donation, we've had so much mileage out of them, and a heck of a lot of fun. And then on Christmas Eve, they come back into church. And then we've got a baby Jesus who sits in a little manger, who's the same as them, only he's got a broken arm, so we wrap him up. And that's kind of it, really. But we didn't use Mary and Joseph last year because it would be a bit dodgy passing them from house to house. And we're not going to use them this year, but I'm going to tuck them away for another time. But this year, we've actually, our plan that to have the donkey and going round the parish and singing carols and having Mary on the donkey on their journey, we are going to do, because we've got the donkey coming. And then once we've done that, at something like 3:30, we're going to come back to church and have a tableau and hopefully a real baby, though we've not tracked one down yet. And Cassie's going to tell the nativity story and get people talking and petting the donkey for the toddler group and things. And then we are going to have refreshments, but they are going to be outside, definitely now. And then people will come in for the carol service, which all the readings are going to be recorded, so that if all else fails, it can go completely online with just a bit of live music. And if we can't sing inside, we'll sing outside and go from there. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. It's often the silly things and the crazy things that make you end up. And in fact, living nativity and having the real animals came from thinking, well, should we put these 2 figures on the bus stop in Jacob's Well? And then it became the whole bang shoot. So crazy things give crazy ideas. Oh, and then there's my Mary, who I found on a stall at the fun day, and I couldn't leave her because she's just so ready for storytelling, with a little fleecy coat and everything. So sometimes she helps with crib services and that kind of thing. There you go. That's us.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kirsten. Really, really good to hear about that. And the things I just love about that is taking the carols out into the community, out of the church, to make it really accessible for people. I love the fact that you actually had a donkey inside your church. I think that's amazing. And I have actually met Mary and Joseph, and you can see on those photos how big they are, but they are enormous. They're like the size of a child. They really are quite scary things when you actually meet them, but just wonderful. And
there are benefits of having a lino floor in church.
Yes. And I met Mary and Joseph on the day that they started their journey, and people were so excited that Mary and Joseph might be coming to stay with them. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you. We'll allow some time for questions, I think, once everybody's shared. So Tina and Kate, who's going first?
That's his last call. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I think so. I've got no pictures for you. I don't know why. With the world pictures, but I'm not sure who's got them. So last year, Kate and I are from St Mary Bethany in Woking. Last year, when we were planning, we decided to try and plan something very different that would cope with whatever lockdown stage we may be in at the time, or tier we may be in at the time. And we wanted to bring the community into the church, the people that normally come into the church at Christmas, who perhaps aren't around at the church during the year. A lot of people that would have normally come to our crib services and all the other things. So we decided to have one of those, those sort of light bulb idea moments where you don't actually check out how practical the whole thing is. We went like that. So we said, what about if we do something called Encounter Christmas, to let people still encounter Christmas, whatever happens? I had been on a tour of a art gallery where you go in and you put your phone up and you get the QR code, and then you were taken through on a tour. So I said, what about if we had some kind of self-led tour done by a QR code? And everyone got very excited, and we decided we would do it because we've got quite a good set of guys on our tech team, and we assumed that they would be able to do it. So what we planned was a walk through the church with stations of each part of the Christmas story, starting with Mary. And each station was prepared by a different section of the community, both outside the church community and inside. So, for example, Mary was one of our guys who's an artist, and he produced some wonderful stuff. The angels section were our older people, and we got them. They made angels, and they put memories of Christmas when they were a child on there, which was really fascinating. Kate got the local schools to do shepherds, and we had hundreds and thousands of shepherds, it seemed like. And so there was all the different stations, and it ended with the stable and with the crib inside the stable. And then what we had was, for each station, we had a piece of music, a reading, a very, 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 very short talk, and then me reading parts from the Bible Society's Christmas book. I got permission to record it. And use their pictures, and we had them up for a certain amount of time. So what would happen was people were meant to book slots in. We also did a film of a walkthrough of the experience, so that if people couldn't go, they could access that from home. And then on our website, there were the full-length songs and all of the different parts, so people could go back and revisit and hear the songs and do the walkthrough from home. And we managed to have, we were fully booked. We had slots booked every 10 minutes. It was a 30-minute walkthrough, and we worked out every 10 minutes would be safe. And we were fully booked, and I think we managed 5 nights before we got locked down. So the first 5 nights, we actually had people going in there. It ran from sort of 4 o'clock through till quite late, and we were adult groups booked in, all sorts. And when they entered the building, they were welcomed outside, and then they were entered on their own, scanned the QR code, and they there was a mirror that said, come as you are and encounter Christmas. So they sort of looked in the mirror, and then they were led through each bit. So it would say at the end of each section, now please move on to Mary. And then they'd watch the film and listen to the music. And then it would say, now please move on to the angels. Now please move on. And they would go through the building. And then when they left the building, they took home either an adult goodie bag or a children's goodie bag with all sorts of things, including something to scan when they got home so they could revisit and see the whole of the songs. And it was really well received, and both from the wider community and people at church. It was just a shame that we got to the stage where we had to knock people down. But even then, we know from the number of hits we've got and from the feedback that people did use the experience to encounter Christmas from at home. And we decided on review, it's something we would do again, not this year, but certainly we would do it again. And we would use that concept again, perhaps for an Easter experience or something like that. And we made it hard because we had all this vision of what our tech team could do. You could do it in a much more simple way. We're actually linking the videos to the QR code and things. And the video is still available to see, but as I said, the video of the walkthrough isn't. But you could imagine in your own situation you could do that sort of thing. And then the other thing we did, Kate and I did something that came up on one of the children's things. Then when we had our meeting, somebody shared a make an advent calendar, online advent calendar, and I did one for our younger children and our toddler group, where I read a story every day or linked a song in or something. And then Kate did one for the older children and her outreach. And again, that was very well used. So yeah, that's about it, really.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tina. That is great. And these trail things, you can be really elaborate and you can do your own, but there are resources out there that you can literally just download a whole load of QR codes and it's all there for you. So you can do it spoken, and you can do your own. And if you've got great tech teams, that's wonderful. If you haven't, you can still do something similar because there are resources. Thank you, Tina. That's great. Kate, are you going to share about what's coming up?
Yes. So I'm going to share about what we're doing this year. So we start in early December with the Mencap Carol service, which is headed up by one of our old congregational leaders. And it's a wonderful service where lots of people with disabilities or anything, you will come together, and it's a very popular service. And that starts off in December, early December. And then we move on to the school services. So we have a service on the 8th of December for Barnsbury School. And where we would normally have a large chunk of the school, this year we're just having 2 year groups. So it'll be much fewer children coming, but they will sing and they will go through the Christmas story and do readings. And we're even having some of the fun club, my fun club that I do in Barnsbury School are going to write a prayer for this year. And it will be the same on the 16th and 17th of December for Goldsworth School. Again, we'll have 2 year groups, much fewer children, no parents, keep ventilation and everything so it's safe. But it will be a lovely opportunity for the schools to come in and celebrate Christmas, which is such a special time. On the 19th of December, we're hoping to do a community carol service outside in the car park, but we're going to close the road as well. And we'll have a stage and a brass quartet, professional brass quartet that our associate vicars managed to get hold of. And the mayor's coming, which is very exciting. And it's an outreach event for people in our community. So we're hoping the weather's going to be good. It's going to be well risk assessed. But it will be a wonderful opportunity to bring church out and be a light in our community. So we're quite excited about that. as we head towards Christmas on the 24th, we will be doing a crib service. In fact, we're doing 2 services to make it more COVID safe and to make sure that we don't overcrowd the church. And again, this will be ticketed. So we're doing them in the afternoon at 2 and 3:30. And it's based on the Bible Society story for this year, and it'll be very good. There'll be lots of dressing up, and Tina's heading that up, and she's brilliant at it, so I'm very excited about that. They'll also, all these services will be ticketed. So we've got a midnight service, we've got a Christmas Day service, and of course, because Boxing Day this year comes on a Sunday, there'll be a smaller Boxing Day service. But like I say, there'll be lots of ventilation through the church, make sure the numbers are not too many. People will be wearing masks when we're inside. And I think, we won't be doing refreshments probably like we normally do, I wouldn't think either. Other things that we do as well as our service. So I think that's right, Tina, in saying, isn't it? The Bethany Babes will probably do some kind of Christmas thing. I think so. Tina has a wonderful Bethany Babes, and
toddlers. Our toddler group were on restricted numbers anyway, so we'll do our normal. Yeah, at Christmas. It depends on the groups on the day, but
Christmas will happen. So like a little Christmas party. I run an older Friday nightclub group on a Friday evening, which is for 7 to 11-year-olds, and we'll do a Christmas party again. My Friday nightclub is. The kids have to book in for it. It's, so that we limit the numbers. We limit the numbers to 20 children, and that will be ticketed. But we'll have some kind of a Christmas party. For the schools work that I do in Barnsbury School as well, we will have a Christmas party as well. And I just tell the children to wrap up warm, and I keep all the windows open and try and keep it very COVID safe. But we want to do something special for them as well. So those are the extra things that we're doing. So we are covering quite a lot, and quite excited about this year. So I hope that gives you a reasonable overview of what we're doing.
Great, that's brilliant. Thanks, Kate.
I'm most excited about. Sorry, I was going to say I'm most excited about upsetting the neighbours when we shut the road. Well, we have got permission. The thing to do is to ask your counsellor, would you like to come to this? And then the counsellors go and I'll support you in shutting the road.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Making the most of outside, having multiple services, ticketing things to kind of avoid that overcrowding. Sounds great. Has anybody got any questions that they want to ask Kirsten or Tina or Kate or Andrew? Go for it.
Sorry, just a simple question really for Kirsten. Where did you get your lights, your figures for the front of the church, and how much did they cost?
It was called Silent Lights, I think, years ago, and I think they've gone bust actually. But what they do, basically what it is a wire frame in the shape of the person, and you can get rope lights from Lights for Fun and various things online. And so Mary and Joseph actually for many years were just kind of like plain white light, but then we changed them to blue and green because we happened to get those things. And then all you do is you put it on with the plastic, the ties, the what do you call them?
Ties.
The plastic thingy ties. That are dangerous in murder mystery things, aren't they? So and then for the wording, my husband made a frame that has got lines up and down, sort of like lines of wire, and then he just puts the cable ties, that's what they are, cable ties in the shape of the words. So we had #Jesus one year, And we're not doing words this year. We're just going to have like a crib shape, I think. So I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Go, Michelle. You're muted, though. Michelle, you need to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. There you go.
Okay. The question is, what would you do if you have people that normally don't go to church, that you've never seen before? Would you turn them away if they haven't got a ticket?
No.
We building into our ticketing a certain number of extra spaces.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're not going to, unless God sends us 10 new people. So within our ticketing, there is, if we've allowed 100 seats,
yeah,
we'll probably only do 90 bookings.
Yeah.
But no, we wouldn't turn people. When we were booking services through, when we started opening up again, we were doing bookings, and we wouldn't ever turn anybody away. But, within our ticketing, we always ticket under our full capacity.
Yeah.
Great. Any more questions for these guys, or comments, or we're doing something similar? Or
Emma, I just wondered, you said there are certain suppliers who provide the QR codes, the trails. Are there any particular sites that you'd recommend? I'm
going to move on to that. That's right. My next section, Callie.
Sorry.
Yes, plenty. And you're going to get them.
Thank you.
Anything else before we move on, or has Callie moved us on?
I've got one. Because QR codes are actually quite reliant on phones, and if you're outside as well, then it means that your mobile data usage is quite high. And we're really aware that in our community, we don't want to suck everybody's power off their phone, because some people really can't afford it. We found that instead of doing QR codes at Easter for an Easter trail, although the QR code thing's really exciting, just like a trail of posts with clues for various things that you have to answer a question and get back to church or whatever is sufficient, even in this day and age, because it's just fun getting out and about and doing that. So we did a few or Cassie did a few things that were just literally little trails around the green.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Kirsten. Really, really good point. Yeah, and you will know your communities. Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, and when we had people in the church, we gave them access to our Wi-Fi. And if people didn't have a QR code, we had an alternative. If they didn't have a tech, we had an alternative guide for them, and they could sort of see the things in a different way. Yeah, I know my daughter is where is she, Emma?
St John Stoke.
Yeah. When they do their trails, they just had little leaflets out, like a little booklet. Each family could pick up a little booklet to do their trails, and that worked really well.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I just have another question. I just wondered how many people were involved in how many church people organising it did you need, Tina?
The inside thing, what we did was we kind of gave out the jobs. We just so basically there were a team of 4 of us making the plan. Team of 4 of us are sort of working parties. There was myself, the associate minister, the curate, and sometimes we let the vicar. We told him what he was doing, or what we were doing, and so there's a team of 4 of us sort of brainstorming and coming up with ideas. As far as the stations were concerned, we allocated the stations to particular people. So, like, the artist guy did one. The lady who runs our older people's ministry agreed to take on one, and we just gave them free rein. We didn't say we want it to look like this, we want it to look like that. We let them do that. And then, Kate got the children to do another one. I think I did one. So there wasn't a small team of people having to do a lot. The biggest burden was because we started mixing music in and things like that. Biggest burden was for our IT guys. But we wanted to sort of involve as many people as we could, so people felt they had ownership of stuff, and also because people were really at that sort of grief stage where they hadn't been able to contribute to church life, and we wanted to give them back a chance to contribute to church life. So we said, this is our vision, this is Mary, can you do this? And then there was lots of different people doing the readings and lots of different people doing the different bits. So it involved bringing people back into feeling they were doing something for church, really.
With the music that we did as well, we were doing a lot of online videos and music. So we had a chap called Paul who kind of put all the music together. So it was all recorded by members of the congregation, which was really, really good standard as well.
Judy, did you have a question you wanted to ask?
I haven't got a question, but just to say that last year, Sarah Hutton's the curate, and in Shear, which covers 3 villages, she organised a travelling mobile real-life nativity. So she got a flatbed, tractor type thing, and someone driving it, decorated as a stable scene, and we had real life Mary and Joseph and a real life baby. So that went round to the 3 villages and stopped for a little while in each place. So that worked really well. People got in clusters, but they were outside, and it worked really well. And we're hoping to do it this year. So
fantastic! That's fantastic.
Yes,
there was so much creativity last year.
It was wonderful,
just brilliant. So what I've got for you guys, and you will get this tomorrow, probably if not Friday, on an email, is a whole list. You got 2 A4 sides of resources and links to all kind of the latest stuff. So all of the things we've kind of been talking about will be on here. I'll also save the chat because there've been people making suggestions of light supplies and things on the chat as well, which is great. So I'll save the chat and I'll also put that on an email for you. So you get links to everything. But one of the great resources that people have already talked about are from the Bible Society. And we are very lucky to have Kristen from the Bible Society with us this evening, who's just going to share a bit about what they've got available. Kristen, over to you.
Thanks so much, Emma. And thank you, Tina and Kate, for the little preemptive plugs. That was fantastic. So I'll just head straight in. I'm just going to give you a kind of whistle-stop tour of some of my highlights. I put in the chat the link to our Christmas resources page, which will have everything on it for you to see. But first things first, we do have our Christmas books. A lot of you will be familiar with the Christmas books we do each year. And we have our fantastic Bob Hartman doing it this year. Emma's heading up the Impossible Promise, but we also this year have the Christmas poem. Some of the feedback we've had in the past is that the books have been too old for the toddlers to hand out to toddler groups. So this year we've added the Christmas poem so that you have something that is good for that toddler age and doesn't feel too old for them. So this is very much toddler reception age, obviously for parents, carers, grandparents to read to them. This does have an animation on the website that goes with it as well. So Kate, when you're doing that toddler group, or Tina doing that toddler group, you can use the animation for this as well in any of the services. And our good friend Bob did write this. Some of you might think it looks familiar. It was out about 5 years ago. So it is familiar, but it has been kind of, the cover is a lot nicer to touch. I know it sounds a bit silly, but it has kind of been done just a little bit different, a few very minor changes. So, but if it does look familiar, that is why. And yes, and what Emma was holding up, the Impossible Promise, that has been taken from Bob's Link It Up Bible. We have the animation to go with that as well. There's an instant nativity. For those that haven't used our instant nativity in the past, it really is what it says. You should be able to open up the instant nativity, have a read through, see what you need. You'll need one narrator, 2 extra people to kind of act it out and just send out an invitation to the whole church. Come dressed as you want. You know, if you want to be a shepherd, if you want to be Mary, if you want to be Joseph. And throughout the instant nativity, all the Josephs come up to the front, all the Marys come up at different intervals. We've even included some song suggestions this year. We know everyone has different churchmanships, and the songs some of you may look at and say, there's no way our church would use that song. But we were just trying to make it as user-friendly as possible and something you could really just download, have a look at, and would not take loads of time. I know when I was a children and family worker, every nativity that you practice, no one ever turned up for the practice. It was just a complete waste of time. So we want to make something as quick and easy as possible. And it is based on the Impossible Promise. So that is their beauty as well. And there is an animation that goes with the Impossible Promises there as well for you to use. One of the things I'm really excited about sharing with you, because we're talking about Advent as well as Christmas resources. Last year, we trialed a family Advent box, and we didn't really market it that much at all. And we sold 1,000 just like in a blink of an eye. So my colleague and I put it together again this year, and this year's is different. So your books will arrive looking like this, which is a little box here. And when you open it up, this is what you see on the inside. And then open up, and we have, so for each week, you have a different envelope, and there are hope, peace, love, and joy. And inside each envelope, you've got a paper chain. And on your paper chain is a prayer. So hopefully the family will gather around, they will look at their paper chain, and they will say the prayer that is on the paper chain and then link other paper chains together. Each envelope also has its own ornament. So they're going to have something else to go with it. But the other thing is that we have conversation cards. So you could just lay all the conversation cards out on a table, and right before everyone has dinner, pull one out for the day. And that's your conversation starter for the day. So for example, today's conversation would be, traditions are markers that help us remember and point a way into a special season. However, you can always begin a new tradition. Discuss any ideas you might like to add to your Christmas season or bring special meaning. So that's just one to get folks talking and kind of bring some different things into the Christmas season. There's also stickers, because we all love stickers. So you have a sticker to add to your sticker poster every single day. You have a bookmark with reading. So each day you've got a reading from the Bible. And we have included a sample copy of our new family Bible. We've got 2 chapters of Luke in there. So folks are going to have a nice sample of that, as well as a book of make, play, and do. So they have a little thing, and each day you can choose something. Today might be a make day, tomorrow might be a play day, the next day might be a do day. So there's loads of suggestions to take them through the Advent season. We really just want families to see the fun and excitement of Advent. We know chocolate's important. We're not taking away from chocolate, but we want to just give folks another thing. We want families engaging with the Bible, talking about the Bible, and seeing the importance of the Advent season. The Advent family Advent boxes are £16, and I do appreciate for some folks that's quite a big cost. I do know that some churches have decided that in a way to kind of let those families that haven't returned to church know that they're still part of their church family. They've bought some of the family Advent boxes to give out to those families as we want to see you back. We're thinking of you, kind of a gift. So that's just a little seed I'll plant there for you. And they're on the website, and you can order from there. I think there is a bulk rate, but to be honest, I think it only takes it down a couple of pounds. Whereas the books, the more you order, the less the price you pay. And we have put price points on the website. I know in years past, folks were a bit frustrated because they didn't realize if they ordered 200, it was better than 150 as far as the price breaks. But the price breaks for the books are on the website now. And that's just a very, very quick. We have lots more stuff like stickers and all kinds of other things on there. So please do have a look at the website and enjoy Christmas. And we hope that we've added a little bit something to your Christmas this year from Bible Society.
Brilliant. Thank you, Kristen. The Bible Society resources are fabulous. If you've never gone to their website, do go and have a look. And I was there today and I was very excited to see that they've got a new video of Makaton signs for the Impossible Promise, which has been recorded by many of you will remember her, our own lovely Steph, who used to work in our resources centre. So if you want to see Steph on video, she's now a fully qualified Makaton tutor, and she's got a little video there that teaches you Makaton signs for lots of the things that you would use in a Christmas story to make your kind of storytelling over Christmas really accessible. So whilst you're on the Bible Society website ordering your stuff, have a little look at Steph's video. It's only 3.5 minutes long, and I was very excited to watch it. I can't quite remember what I learned. Something king, isn't it? I think something like that. Yeah. Brilliant. I'm people putting things in the chat, which is great. I'm going to save this and I will circulate that. I just want to show you the Church of England resources for this year, because they've just launched their campaign, which is called At the Heart of Christmas. Let me just share my screen with you. I can't get to the one I want. No, come on, move out the way. There we go. So the Church of England campaign this year is called At the Heart of Christmas, and this is kind of their logo. And they've taken lots and lots of feedback from previous campaigns and are trying to make this stuff as really helpful to churches as they can. So they've got printed resources, which you can buy now from Church House Publishing. So they've got the booklet, which covers you from for the whole of the Christmas period. So starts on Christmas Eve and then goes for the 12 days of Christmas. They've also got resources this year for Advent, which I think goes through Matthew, and they're available as printed resources and an app. They've also got bookmarks and prayer cards and all kind of things like that. They have promised us a family Advent calendar that I haven't seen yet, but that should be coming out really quite early on this month. So keep an eye out for that. There will also be youth resources and devotions and things on Instagram, as there were last year. So keep an eye out for those and you can share those. They're also encouraging churches, if you're not already on a church near you, to sign up and also to access their resource hub, because on their resource hub, you can get a whole load of extra content in terms of videos and social media stuff that you can then customize for your church to help you promote your events. So it's a really helpful way of kind of incorporating what you're doing with the Church of England campaign. And they've got video tutorials about how you can edit the videos to customize them. They've got tutorial webinars and videos about what you can do on social media with the stuff. So they're trying to be as helpful as possible with churches to use their campaign stuff. Daily Hope, which started in our diocese, will have a whole load of extra Christmas content on there. So for people who are not on the internet, this is literally a phone line that people can phone and then push button to get different options, and lots of lovely Christmas content on there that you can promote. And then what else did I want to tell you about? Then they're going to have the national online services for Advent and Christmas again, and those will be up on the website soon when they are. So if you're not able to put on a service for every bit of Christmas, then there will be a national service that you can point people or signpost people to. So we're not doing an X service this year, but you can point them to the national online one. So they've got lots going on. Definitely worth looking at their website. I'll send you a link. Couple other things to tell you about is our resource centre closed and we lost the lovely Steph, but the resources that Steph used to show us all are all available at All Saints Guildford in their resource library. So all the book resources are available there, and the non-book resources are available from the cathedral, and the details of how to get at those are on their website. But Trish, who runs the library now, just kind of put together this little PDF for me, which I will send you, which just shows all the lovely Christmas resources they've got that you can borrow. So books and DVDs and all sorts of lovely Christmas stuff available to borrow from All Saints in Guildford. So you'll get a link to their website. So if you want to borrow Christmas books and resources, or just go and browse like you would have done at the Resources Centre, there's good parking, and sometimes they'll make you a cup of coffee. But take your coat because they don't often have the heating on. But it's all there and available for you to borrow. And talking about trails, if you guys haven't looked at Muddy Church yet, it's fabulous. They've got loads and loads of great outdoor resources. So they will have a Christingle Trail. They've got this lovely one, which is Trail of the Year, Trail of the Kings, and kind of a New Year trail. So they have QR trails, they have non-QR trails, they have reflection sheets, they've got a Jessie Tree adventure. Just click on any one of these and you just get masses of resources that work with QR codes and don't. So Muddy Church are really, really fabulous. And if you're doing Christingle, don't forget that the Children's Society have got masses of free resources. I mean, masses and masses of free resources. They've got all these PDF downloads, how to do Christingle at home, a dementia inclusion Christingle, Muddy Church Christingle, Messy Church Christingle, and then all the actual resources of candles and gloves, and they've got balloons and prayer cards and paper bags to if you're doing Christingle kits, and they've just got masses and masses of free stuff. So get in early because sometimes they run out. But you will get links to all of that when I send you this document tomorrow. I thought this might happen. We're going to run out of time for breakout rooms, but we've still got 5 minutes. So does anybody want to ask anything, share anything, tell us what you're doing if you think it might be helpful to others? We've got 5 minutes. The floor is open.
Can I ask a quick one?
Yeah, Mandy, go for it.
I sent you a private message. I tried to get onto the church near you today, and it's a nightmare because you need a vicar. So they might be trying to be really helpful, but they've actually put all their resources behind a very closed brick wall.
Really?
So just if you're trying to get at it, just be aware, give yourself a bit of time.
Okay.
I completely failed today because our vicar's away and you need a login and it does all sorts of scary things. So yeah, it's not as easy to log in as
Thank you. Thank you, Mandy. Yes, and you probably are right that you need your vicar to kind of get you set up and then set you up as an admin.
Yeah.
Once you've done that, I then think it's pretty good. But yes, thank you for the heads up. Callie, you've unmuted.
Yeah. I had a question. I'm slightly behind the curve. I've sort of lost touch with Messy Church recently. So what are they up to at the moment? Post COVID and in this new COVID world.
Yes.
Lots of good resources and good things going on there.
I'm not sure they've got any new resources. They've got all the resources, and you'll get links to it on this. They've got all the resources that they did have. That includes a Messy Church at home. I think Messy Churches are just kind of starting to go back, and they're just starting to work out what Messy Church looks like. And so they haven't produced masses of new resources, but there is a Messy Church, a Messy Christingle at home resources that I'll send you. And then they've got all their kind of old resources as well. But I think they are just working out what Messy Church needs to look like in this.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wondered. I didn't know if I was out of touch or if that's what sort of where they were at.
No, I think it is where they're at. If you want kind of an offline conversation with me about Messy Church and what may or may not be possible, then give me a ring, Callie.
Thank you.
We can have a chat.
Kirsten. Last Christmas we ended up Christingle. Cassie did it. We had 6 tables in church, and you could be 6 people around a table, as in like you could in the restrictions. And so that was quite a helpful thing to do, Christingle creatively. And you were limited in numbers, but it meant that you could actually do something.
Yeah. I think a lot of this round table stuff has been happening and is continuing to happen, actually. Yeah. Anybody else? We've got another couple of minutes. Questions, sharings, comments?
Different ways of doing, sorry. Different ways of doing single.
No, I was just going to say the cathedral are doing an online advent calendar this year in conjunction with the diocesan schools. So the diocesan schools are creating artwork based on the theme of everyone's welcome, and the cathedral have created an advent calendar that's going to go out on our social media. And then Jane Whittington at the diocese is doing a child-friendly version of that that's going out as well. So if any of your church schools are creating anything, do come up and see them at the cathedral, because they'll be great, and it will link into our advent calendar. So if you don't have one, or you don't have access to one, and want to share some of the artwork through the cathedral's network, then do use that. It'll go out on all our social media and our website as well. And they're always amazing, if you've ever seen them before, what the schools come up with. So that's a really nice kind of community thing that we're doing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Becky.
I was just going to say, if anybody that can get to Woking wants to borrow it, I've got, and we're not using our inflatable Chris Tingle suit this year that we dressed the vicar up in. We found him. We've got basically one of these big inflatable orange suits, so if anybody wants to use that at all, we've got that, and we've got the giant lollipops he usually holds, and we've confiscated it from him. So we've done it for a few years. So we recorded one last year with it as well. So we're not using it this year, but if anybody wants to borrow it, it's in Woking, and you're welcome to it.
Brilliant.
Just as a side note, if you can't borrow and you can't afford your own, what we've done is I bought a pumpkin outfit and turned it inside out, and then all of a sudden you have an orange.
Top tip, Abby. Love it. Brilliant. On that note, it is 8:30, so we're not going to go any longer. Let me just pray for us before I say goodbye. So, Lord, we just thank you for the joy of Christmas. We thank you for the opportunity it presents us to reach out into our communities with just the good news of your Son. And I pray, Lord, that as we face this Christmas, still looking a little bit uncertain, but different again to last year, Lord, I just pray that you would inspire us again and afresh with the creativity and the ideas that we need to just come up with things that are going to be absolutely right for our contexts and our communities at this time. Lord, thank you for the time together this evening. And I just pray that whatever we do this Christmas may glorify your name. Amen.